Welcome to the after show, everybody. Thanks for tuning in to your Facebook Live. Paul Gerke, Rachel McNeil, Kristen Keogh, Jen Wall, hanging out on the couch for your entertainment this morning. We look really green, Chrissy. Weird.
Oh.
Our director, Chrissy, was messing with the color.
Oh, now we're blue.
Better. A little yellow, but I'll take
like
a free
bronzy.
tan.
I think
Yeah,
it's a bronzy thing.
I'll take the tan.
Oh, no.
Why not?
We're just, this is weird. That's better. I like that.
That is better.
Yeah. Nice color choice.
That's a good bronzy look.
How's your Monday morning treating you, ladies?
So far, so good.
Yeah, surviving?
Fantastic.
Getting through?
I mean, I got here on time, so that's kind of a miracle.
Yeah, I mean, you take your wins any way you can get them.
Yeah. I have very small expectations for myself on Mondays.
On Mondays,
Bars, right?
yes. Like, if you're here, you make it, it's all good.
We want to talk about one of the staples that we often bring up on the show, and that's relationships. But we have kind of an interesting skew because there's a new study that just came out that seems to indicate that 25% of people have held on to a keepsake from a previous relationship. In fact, 43% have also kept an item from a current partner. Experts say many people do this because they like to feel loved and they like to remember those feelings, where they were, what they were doing, who they were with. So we're asking you this morning, what have you kept from a past relationship? Do you have a treasure trove lurking in the back of your closet full of keepsakes? Kristen and I were having this conversation off camera right after
Catalog
the show.
of items.
Do you want to dive in first?
You first.
I swear, these topics just set me up for failure. It's not even fair. You know what? Back to what we were talking about prior to this, Paul. For me, it's not about the keepsake. It's not about any sort of emotional attachment. It's about getting good practical gifts and quality stuff that I don't want to give up.
Yeah.
I mean, I have a lot of things from past relationships. I have a lot of past relationships.
See how this is slippery slope?
But here's one example of something that actually meant a lot to me, but is also very practical. So in my backyard, I really wanted some bistro lights, like hung up.
Cute.
Oh, yeah.
And so in my last relationship, my boyfriend at the time, I came home from an evening weather shift, and he had a little note on the front door, and it said, Ace, my dog, and I are playing in the back. And I went in the back, and he had spent all day while I was at work hanging up bistro lights, and he created this, the way that my backyard is, there needed to be some planters, and he figured all that out and put
that's awesome.
flowers in and all this amazing stuff. And when we broke up, I said, do you want to take the lights?
Heck no.
I was like, don't take the lights, you know, fingers crossed. But that's something that's practical, that it is something I would never want to get rid of. And every now and then, though, I do feel like, hey, you know what? That was a really nice thing that someone did for me. And it does make you feel good to remember that someone cared about you and that you shared
thoughtful.
that.
You have good memories with that person, too.
Does that qualify as a keepsake, though?
I don't know.
I mean, she's keeping it. And it's an item. So
For goodness sake, she's keeping
But
it.
as far as like pictures or notes
Letters,
or anything like that,
letters.
burn.
You
Burn
do?
it.
I know.
See, do you have any old love notes? Because I definitely saved a whole bunch.
Why? So I didn't realize I had saved one, but apparently I did, because when I was moving, one of my friends who was helping me move was like, oh, this kind of fell out of your book. You might want to keep it. I'm like, oh no, psycho boyfriend, Lana.
Right.
I'm going to but I put it back in the book because it felt weird to throw it away. But I have a good keepsake that I actually like that Paul Gerke is going to appreciate.
See, that's me.
I had a boyfriend give me an Earl Campbell rookie card.
Okay.
Wow.
Which
That's
I went
weird.
to UT. No, it's not weird.
Why did he give you a rookie card?
Because I went to UT, and it's
right.
kind of a big deal. And he had it, and he'd saved it since he was young, and so he gave it to me. And I thought
And you
that
still
was
have
good.
it.
And
Not
I
throwing
do
it
still
out.
have it. Well, I just found it in my move again. I'm like,
How
oh my
much is
gosh.
that worth now?
I know.
Should we look it up?
I feel like it's a good thing.
Do you know the brand? I could look it up.
Oh gosh, Paul Gerke.
Here we go.
Yeah, I know
We're
you don't.
Googling.
That's okay.
I'll bring it in for you. But it's in the little, like it's, in the little plastic, and yeah, it's all ready. So I like it. I keep it. My husband, I showed it to him, and he was like, that's amazing. Like, he did not think it was weird at
Your
all.
husband's cool then. That's awesome.
Yeah, he was like, well, he's a
He doesn't
huge
care.
collector. He collects baseball cards. So he was like, yeah, we're keeping this one. We should give it to our son. I'm like, that's an awkward story, but whatever.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Don't ask any questions.
This is your
son.
not dad. Like, he gave me this card.
Brian says he has a vial of saliva obtained while his ex was sleeping, and then he says, just kidding.
I like
Threw
that.
the just kidding.
We were
out
worried
there
about
just
you
to
for
be
a
sure.
second.
David says, what have I kept from my past relationship? ill feelings, hate, anger, a new fear of women, trust issues.
Wow.
It's like you've got the whole set there, David.
Bless your heart.
Deb goes, the kid.
That is
That's
good
a keepsake right there.
We'll keep him.
John says, I gave them back everything. I wish I could give them nightmares. Oh,
Wow.
my grandma, on a lighter note, is
totally
watching
normal.
this morning. Good
Hi,
morning
Grandma.
to Darlene. She says, multiple keepsakes. After all, I am 78 years old. What do you have, Grandma? I'd love to hear about
I
the
want to
keepsakes
know what
that
she
you're holding
had
on
from
to.
an old boyfriend.
A lot of people
not
making
from
the
Grandpa.
kids joke. Yeah, right.
Jewelry, pictures.
Everyone's in a
Probably
good mood
jewelry.
on Monday.
Grandma
Lots
was
of
a
jokes
baller
this
back in the
morning. I
day.
like it. Oh,
Sorry.
Thugs in the studio.
Gnats.
Diana says, I still have my promise ring my husband gave me in high school. He's the only one that's ever gifted me anything. Aww.
That's sweet.
Jen, you're married. Do you have anything from a relationship prior to marriage?
I love finding the random notes that like I got in junior high or high school,
Yeah.
and then I like shoved in a photo album somewhere, and you forget about it. You know, I have this friend, and he wrote me in 7th grade math. Check yes or no, that whole thing.
Yes.
You know,
Oh,
if you
like the
me.
George Strait song.
Yeah, and it's so cute, and we still joke about it. And to this day, he's like, "Remember when I had a crush on you, and I wanted to take you to a dance, and you said
That's
no?"
cute.
And yeah, I mean, we're still friends, and we laugh about it. And I don't know, I like all those funny notes.
I love the notes. Like, I probably have hundreds of old
Hundreds.
They're
Maybe
cute.
some as far back as high school through like my adult age.
Well, you spent so much time folding them in those fancy.
Yeah,
little
and they're all
ways,
just
you
in a
know?
stack somewhere. Like, I don't
Yeah.
know. I had some other like kind of more like personal like little photo albums and stuff that girls have made and things like that, but those are all tucked away too.
Okay,
I'm not sure
but-
I'll ever even run into them again, but I have them.
Yeah.
How many different states have you lived in that these things have traveled
I'm
with you
actually,
to?
so I'm moving in July. I'm moving to a new address here in Phoenix. It will be my 12th address in the last 14 years.
Wow.
And at no point
My husband and I,
Yeah.
we did 11. We
Yeah,
decided in the
12
last
and
10 years.
14.
Man.
during those moves, you haven't come across those and thought, why
I
am
have,
taking
but I
this
have like a
with me?
fair amount of like storage boxes that go into my closet right away. I take a peek and I'm like, I don't need
Right.
any of that stuff, and I put it back in the closet. So they come with me. I
Yeah.
also have a ton of like old like sports memorabilia that I collected as a kid that I don't trust, lurking around my mom's
bobbleheads.
basement. Honestly, a
I
ton
have
of bobbleheads. So
I
many
have
bobbleheads.
So many bobbleheads under my bed. My Randy Johnson bobblehead is the most important thing I own.
There you go.
But it should be in prime position, not under your bed. Or did that one get a better spot? No.
I don't want it to get stolen. If somebody breaks into my house and they take my Randy Johnson bobblehead, it's over.
Are there any other weird keepsakes that you've kept? I always had this habit of, and this is going to sound a little corny, but I used to always save the first dinner receipt from a date that I went on with a girl
Oh
that I
my
liked.
gosh, I didn't know you were.
I had,
Sentimental.
I've probably
do?
snagged like 10 of them over the years, and I've thrown them all away. But I've always had like that first dinner receipt just in case I ever needed that ace up my sleeve where I was like, you know how I knew you were the one?
Oh,
I saved
so-
the
Oh my
first
gosh.
receipt from our first meal.
I love how when they
And then
didn't
she
make it, you
finds
just like,
a box of the 20 others.
Yeah.
She's
Well,
like,
no.
hey,
Well, I was
wait
keeping
a
them in my
minute.
wallet. What I found was over time the ink just fades away. So I
Yeah.
pulled one time and it was like indiscernible. There was
Yeah.
like nothing on
You
an
have no
empty piece of
idea.
paper. I was like, oh damn, this is
You know
maybe
what?
not a good idea.
I just now remember this. The last guy that I was seeing, actually, he got me for. I started seeing him in early December, and then for Christmas, he got a scrapbook, and he had printed out pictures of the 3 weeks of our relationship at this
Wow.
point, and like a hockey ticket to a game that he came to, something else, and put it in a scrapbook and gave it to me for Christmas after 3 weeks.
Wow.
How aggressive is that?
Very aggressive. I did that after 2 days once, and the girl never talked to me again.
stop it.
You know,
Yeah, it was
I
weird.
Seriously?
I thought it was
Yeah.
really
No.
sweet, but
Okay.
Back in the
That's
day, I
slightly
had no
psycho.
chill. It was just
yeah.
foot to the pedal.
I hope he's watching. I hope he just heard you call him a psycho.
It's aggressive. I think that's a good
Yeah.
word for it. It's too soon.
I think
Actually-
young men fall in love quickly, and they don't know how to put their foot on the brake, and they just
Yeah.
bulldoze
Yeah,
through
and then
the
they
wall.
say a bunch of stuff they don't mean.
Yeah.
And,
Oh,
bless
yeah.
their hearts.
Okay, but that reminds me, actually, have you ever asked for something back
Oof, that's
when
no
the
fun.
breakup
Oh,
happened?
that's a good question.
I always feel bad when I find stuff like a month later. I'm like, oh, Lord of the Rings DVDs. Like, I don't want these. And now I gotta give these back.
No, I can't. No, I don't think I have. Have you asked for something back?
Okay, that same guy.
Is this the lights guy or is this the psycho guy?
Psycho or lights? Bistro lights.
We're just giving all of our exes nickname. We have Psycho and Lights. Who else?
Oh, I wonder why I'm single. Maybe because we'll go on Facebook and call him a psycho. So his birthday was actually right before Christmas. And
Happy birthday, Psycho.
And he had been talking about how he wanted this. I'm really outdoorsy. You guys know
Yeah.
that. He wanted this hammock, an Eno hammock. It's big if you're.
Now that's my kind of outdoors.
Okay.
Yeah, exactly.
I'm outdoorsy too.
It's
somewhere
like a
to lay,
camping
horizontal.
Staple.
Okay, all right.
Okay, so he said that he really wanted one of those, so I got one for him. They're like $80. That's a pretty nice gift for knowing someone for 3 weeks.
Especially 3 weeks.
That's good.
And I took him to a really nice dinner, by the way. Okay, so
Just throwing that out there.
I asked him after we broke up. I literally said to him, I said, at the time I bought you that birthday present, I thought this was something that it clearly isn't, and I think that you should give it back to me.
Wow.
And he did, and I went camping last week in Sequoia
How was the
National
hammock?
Park, and that hammock is dreamy.
You're laying back, enjoying. Oh my gosh. Thanks to Psycho.
I think that there are certain things, not necessarily a hammock, but I do think there are certain things where you should offer to give things back if somebody spent a lot of money on you.
Well, that's
I
a
do
big
think you
debate
should.
over, like, okay, if you get an engagement ring and you don't actually get married, and people go to court over this, are you supposed to give it back or not?
I've given all mine back.
Don't ask for how many. We don't have time for this topic. We've done this before.
This
It's
is
a
fun.
deep, deep hole. We're not going to go swimming in it
Just
today.
give me the number. I won't ask any backstory. Like,
You know the expression "one for the
More than
thumb"?
3?
That's not about Super Bowl rings. That's
Oh my
that's a
gosh.
Kristen Keogh's getting married. No.
I think it depends on what the guy did.
That's a good point.
Because if he did
Yeah.
something really bad, well, I'm
Yeah.
sorry. I'm keeping the ring. If you cheated,
If you have the
that's
moral
your
high
fault.
ground.
I think you're right. I
Yeah.
think you're right. If they did something that was
But if
really
it's like amicable, you're
devastating
like,
to you,
Yeah.
we're just not.
Yeah,
I feel
meant
like
to
it's
be.
like a promise. Like, it's like a promise. You give somebody, and then you're hoping that you will get married, and then that promise is sealed. But if you don't fulfill the promise, then I think you should give it back.
I'm with you on that.
But I don't judge those who don't at all. I just
I
think
don't
it's
either.
like,
I think that it just really
I think it
is
depends
a
on the
case by
situation.
case
Yeah,
scenario.
for sure.
And for me, like, I wouldn't want that reminder of them. I
No,
wouldn't
you're gonna
want to
sell
have
it.
that.
You can't
No,
do that.
even selling it, like, even using that money to buy something else, I feel like would remind me.
Money's funny like that. You just launder it away, put it in the savings account,
I
and
was
then when you
just
pull
gonna
it out,
say.
you're gonna be like, I don't know what money
I
this
know
is.
people, they're like, oh, well, I got divorced, so I turned the ring into a necklace. I'm like,
That would be tricky.
Yeah,
I
I
want
want
a retirement
like,
account. You'll forget
nothing
about
to
it.
remember
No.
from a past relationship.
no, I don't think so. But then I have another friend who got engaged. It broke off, and then she got engaged, 2 years later, used the same ring because her current boyfriend couldn't afford a ring. So, and I'm like, isn't that weird?
Was he okay with that?
I
guess,
well, he couldn't
obviously.
afford it, so I
His
guess
trash is another's treasure.
Silly question.
You know, maybe this just proves how anti-confrontational I am, but like from the male perspective, if you ask for anything back, you can have it. There's no material thing that means that much to me is to like leave you.
Oh, no.
Hi, weird Instagram
so
live
awkward.
thing.
Yeah, we have social
That's my
media.
favorite angle. If you can
This
get down here below my belly and shoot up at
Kristen.
me, yeah, no, that's
This
perfect.
is social media.
That's the way everyone likes to
You're
be
lucky
filmed,
we're
just
wearing
like
long
this.
dresses today.
I know. I'm trying to stay appropriate.
Anyway,
social
if
media
you want it back, you can
inception.
have it back. But just in
Okay.
general, whatever
Yeah,
it is.
I don't want to get
Take it.
into
I
a
don't want
big confrontation with somebody over it.
In
It's
fact,
like-
would you take some of my crap? Because I've got a lot of it.
Don't you purge every time you move? I mean, I have
I
like
try
trash
to.
bags every time. Like,
my God.
I started like the junk drawer and worked my way down,
Yep.
and by the time I'm exhausted by that, I just
Yeah.
threw everything else into a box. I'm like, forget it,
Okay,
I'll
so
deal with it at the new place.
So everyone has
Yep.
a junk drawer, right? It's not just me.
It's universal.
Is it
And
in
a
your
sauce
kitchen?
drawer.
It's
Yes.
not just you.
Junk
Okay.
drawer and a sauce drawer.
We have a junk room now.
If you don't have a place where you have packets of sauce, you're either lying or a psycho.
All of my Chick-fil-A barbecue
Yes,
sauce
it's so good.
but it is in my junk drawer.
Oh, so
you
it's the
ask
same
for
drawer.
it?
It's fine.
Sauce drawer is
Hey, you
I
can
ask for extra
combine.
sauce every time I
Yeah.
go there.
Always.
Can I have 3 ranches,
Mm-hmm.
please? I'm only gonna eat one, but
by
When
the
we
way,
moved, our sauce drawer was like embarrassing. It was all like shit. Like, I mean, we don't really ever
did you
use
throw it away or did you take it?
No, I had to throw it away because some of those, like
You
the
have to
honey
reset.
mustard,
Yeah.
was not
They
the
don't
same
keep forever.
color. The
No.
honey mustard from Chick-fil-A, which I love, that's a tough
good.
one because
It's
it
so
doesn't
good.
keep.
Now
But
I
the
want
barbecue is
Chick-fil-A
probably
thing.
fine.
I was just at the Chick-fil-A in somewhere in California, Fresno. Fresno? Yeah,
Oh.
I think it was Fresno.
When they talk about scenic sites in California, Fresno is a must see.
I'm on a mission to go to every Chick-fil-A in America.
If you like cow farms, you'll love Fresno.
But you guys, when you ask for more than 2 sauces, they charge you.
oh, okay.
Good on them.
Good to know. I mean,
I'm not okay with it. I give that
No.
business enough money.
Yeah, exactly.
you can
expensive.
You can throw in a sauce.
We spent like $50 to feed my kids the other night at Chick-fil-A. I was like, okay, no, I want to like
But
sit
it
down
was
at a
worth it.
restaurant. if I'm
That's
st-
a lot of
Totally
Chick-fil-A.
worth it. It's really good, but fast food, $50. I don't know.
Yeah.
I'm not
See,
down with that.
to me, it's like one step up from fast food.
It is.
Right.
It's so good.
Feel elevated.
It is so
Yeah.
good.
All right, while we circle the Chick-fil-A drain, let's take a pause for our ICYMI. In case you missed it this morning on
gosh.
Today in AZ, an unexpected guest made an appearance on the show.
Okay.
Check it. I know where I was during the chase. I was up in a cabin in northern Michigan. I was very, very young. This is one of my first distinct news memories. I remember we had this little rickety old TV in this cabin, and my parents were glued to it. I had no understanding as to why it was important, but it was must-see TV.
No, absolutely. I was watching it in the quad at UT Austin, and the whole place was just at a standstill. Somebody's jumping up behind us.
Hey, buddy. Where were you during the chase?
Where were you during the chase, dude?
Oh.
Did that not scare the bejesus out of you?
Surprise!
Anyways, Kristen, where were you?
I don't remember. I was 6
Were you born yet?
Remember, yes.
No.
I do not remember, though.
That was in utero.
You guys, I'm not going to get over that guy showing up in the background of that for a
amazing.
That
while.
was a little weird.
How many text messages did he just get?
I'm glad you
famous
saw him.
now.
I didn't even see him.
Oh, the
I
magic
couldn't
of
stop
live
laughing
television.
because of her reaction. Her reaction
so
was
funny.
funnier than
I'm
even
still
seeing
getting
him.
used to the whole live pictures behind you. I'm like, this may make a case for the whole
I love-
delay to come back.
I mean, like, he
I love
couldn't
the live
possibly
picture.
know how perfect his entrance was, too.
No, I hope
Because he,
no way.
like, started here and jumped down between us, and it was like, he could not have done that better if he
literally
knew
was
how
like-
it was set up.
Spider-Man.
He was quite agile.
Crazy.
And then he
So
came
early.
back during my traffic
Yes.
report,
Yeah.
which nobody could see. So if you
This
were
is good.
watching right around 6:15,
Yeah.
I was trying so hard not to stumble through it because it was zoomed into his face, and he was like, I'm like, I can't say there's a guy, because it all sound crazy. It was a fun morning.
You kept your composure. You
I did not.
You really did.
It's like, what in God's
Really
name is
came out of nowhere.
He did, and I saw him from the fly down, and I was just freaked
Yeah.
out. Yeah, totally freaked out.
Let's get to a couple more keepsakes. Christina says, we put a lock on the London Bridge in Lake Havasu, and I went and found it and took it off. It's now at the bottom of my box.
That's cute.
Yeah, that's pretty cool. My grandma says she will show me the keepsakes that she's been getting from suitors since she was 18 when I go home to see her.
That's adorable.
Ooh, she's
That
got
might be a
little
social media
secret
post in the
box.
future.
How
Yeah.
many
Absolutely.
suitors have there been, Grandma?
My grandma was a classy young
Grandma's
lady.
got
let me tell
game,
you.
huh?
Yeah, no, she
Is this your mom's mom?
Yes,
Well, your
yes,
mom is
mom's
very
mom.
attractive, so I'm
Well.
sure she has a lot of, obviously,
I'd
suitors.
be disappointed she didn't watch here. Shane says my first Father's Day card for my stepson. I had to have my mom hang on to it so I wouldn't toss it. Maybe someday I'll take a look back at it.
Did you ever have so I had that moment where my mom finally got to the point where she dumped all my
Oh, isn't
keepsake
that the
boxes
worst?
on me.
Yes.
And
You
it's
guys.
like I have these trophies and your high school letter jackets, and she's like, enough.
Yes.
These are your boxes. You have to take them with you everywhere now, and you move so much. I'm
Yeah.
like, good God, you couldn't just keep it in your attic. She wouldn't.
It's
She
so
kicked it
funny
out.
you say that because yesterday when I went over to my parents' house for Father's Day, I'm just sitting there chilling, waiting for, all the food to get ready for dinner. And my
Waiting for food.
my mom brings out this gigantic box. So I was a Diamondbacks rally back, like the girls who throw the t-shirts. There were like 700 Diamondbacks
You
t-shirts.
didn't do a good job giving them away then.
They were the ones that I wore for the job. Okay, come on.
So Keo's
But
selling
then-
game-used Diamondbacks
Yeah.
t-shirts if anyone's interested.
And then there's like
Only worn once, never washed. I feel like that ups the value.
to a certain audience. Yeah.
Not to some.
Oh, and then like the sorority T-shirts.
Yeah,
Were you in a
totally.
sorority?
Yeah.
And then
No.
you're not allowed to donate them because then
No,
someone could
because we would
pretend-
see homeless people wearing a Delta Gamma rally shirt, in the streets of Austin. So because my dad would wear mine for decades. Okay, I'm like, Dad, this is embarrassing. You can't have a 1995
I think
piano night.
There's nothing better than seeing someone wearing a shirt, especially when it's an old dude.
Yes.
That's from some marathon in
Yeah.
1991.
I know.
And
That
you're
clearly
like,
he's not running marathons anymore.
yeah, but you're I'm just impressed by the sheer fact that they didn't let anyone take that shirt away from them.
No.
I know.
No significant other along the way.
So I
No one.
used to work in Tampa, and the head coach of the Buccaneers at the time was a guy named Dirk Cutter. Dirk Cutter has strong Boise ties from back in our days. But Cutter got fired this past offseason when they hired Bruce Arians down there in Tampa. When Cutter left, he took all of his Bucs stuff And you can't, I mean, think about how much stuff a head coach gets. You're talking hats and polo shirts and shorts.
All
and
the
whatever.
gear, everything.
Tons of it.
Sliders.
He took it all and just dropped it off at Salvation Army. So there was a huge story that came out of it. People were buying the game-used head coaching gear of the Buccaneers coach because he just dumped it all there. So like these monogram shirts and stuff like that.
That's
Sweet.
so cool.
But I mean, like you talk about a guy who also has a transient lifestyle, who has no interest in hanging on to all this extra
What are you gonna do with
just
all
like
that
drop
stuff?
it off at Salvation Army. It's somebody else's problem.
I think
Yeah.
that's a kind gesture. I
Do
like
you
that.
have anything that's not related to a relationship that, I mean, you've moved so much that you were
So
like,
much.
that you kind of consider when you move getting rid of and then you end up keeping it every time?
All kinds of stuff.
of
But
stuff,
the box gets a little smaller, and my husband's very happy about that. But I'm a sentimental person, so I like I have little things from Boise. I got these like really goofy awards, like Best Editor, November Sweeps 2000, whatever it was. So I'm like, they're the goofiest like dollar store trophies, but I just love them.
Yeah, it
like,
meant
they're
something.
So cute.
And it's important, I think, to hold on to certain things that kind of remind you where you came from and where you've stopped along the way. Because
course.
you can get really caught up in where you are.
Yeah.
And it's cool to remember, like, hey, it wasn't always like this. Like, I used to really want to be where I am now, and there was this really important stop along the way.
I've got one box that I'd love to show you sometime that I've saved every credential I've ever had in my life.
That's
have a
so
box
many.
this
Ryan
big.
Cody's desk. I love how he decorates it. He has all of his credentials. Oh, I think it's so neat. Every
Everything
time I
from
walk by, I peek at
Podunk,
him.
middle of nowhere,
Yeah.
girls basketball tournaments, you know, all the way to a Stanley Cup final, to the Daytona 500, to two Olympics. Like, just the breadth and the depth.
That's pretty cool.
Like, I remember when that little thing, like the state basketball tournament, was like a big deal. I've got a credential.
Yep.
You know, and now
Exactly.
you look back at it and you're like, oh, geez, like that's nothing. You know?
That's
probably
cool.
could
I
just
think that's
walk
cool
in.
to save. Yeah.
All right, producer Alyssa's saying wrap. We walked too far down memory lane. Now
And
we got lost
Chick-fil-A,
in the
we
woods.
definitely got. I know. Apologize for that.
Hey, are they still serving those biscuits? It's only 8 a.m.
I know. I thought
Let's
she was
go.
eating one earlier.
Go home and check the expiration dates on your sauce store. If there's one thing you take away from today's show, let that be it.
It's a color thing.
See you
It's
tomorrow.
fine. If it's only 3 months past the expiration, it's fine.
It's a suggested date.
Yeah.